You so much, ladies. I appreciate the time and thank you for inviting me. It's such a pleasure to be part of projects. I spend a lot of my time now when we work for the NHS. It is a joy, it's a passion. However, we like to help people around the world if we can. And you make a very good point of it. And it's the key bit about inspiring today. I do come obviously from a heavily medical background. I have a special interest in chronic kidney disease. So I know the consequences. I know about dialysis to a depth. But I'm not here to talk about any of that. I'm here to actually inspire you, give you dreams, believe in dreams. I'm a passionate traveler. I've always traveled, and I always told people and my patients, if there's a way we should try and do something, we must do it. We're in a wonderful time in technology, in medicine now. We're using AI. We're advancing so well. And if you think despite all the illnesses in the world and the huge difficulties we have, and I'm talking about mental health with children, I'm talking about cancer, I'm talking about kidney disease. I know we have all of this, but we are still, I believe, very fortunate to be on this earth at this time, despite all the difficulties around the world. Because if you think of our ancestors and where we've come from through all the famine, through all the wars, through all the difficult times, we are that actual small population that have managed to make it through our ancestors on this earth. And I think we must all, as a group, come together. And if there's any opportunity to help and support our fellow human, and especially when it comes to travel, we must do. And we know what travel does as those people who live relatively healthy world lives. We take it for granted, getting on a plane, getting on a ship. But think for a second, 100, 200 years ago, no one could ever dream of flying. And I think now that we have the capabilities where wonderful people like yourselves that book dialysis can help support people, where we reduce the stress, because that's the biggest part, worrying about certain things, about is it going to be fine at the other end? Is the hotel linked? Is the dialysis sorted? If we can have someone on our side, what a lovely thing. And it's a real honor to be part of this group. And thank you for inviting me. So let me not delay any further and share my screen for you. So just so you know, guys, normally I like to just have a few pointers on my slideshow because, as you may imagine already, I talk a lot, and I hope, and I have had very kind feedback saying it is impactful stuff. But on this occasion, although I will be talking, obviously, I have made the slide deck a little bit meatier, a bit more on there, more because I'd like you guys to take it home as a tool, because there are some information at the end, especially around, the 6 weeks before you travel or the 8 weeks before you travel. What kind of things should you remember? Go to your doctor, maybe to get a medical record. Go and make sure your medications are up to date. These simple things that, with the stress of a holiday, we may forget. So it's got a little bit more writing in it, but obviously I'll guide you through it and we will jump through things as we please. But today, please relax, please listen. And as you know, I'm a GP, so general practitioner, family doctor in the UK. And I go by Dr. Lavan. So if you ever need to refer to me, please just call me Dr. Lavan. And lovely thing about medicine now is, although I've gone through all various parts of medicine, it is what we all understand. The basic thing about living well is that basic understanding of sleep, nutrition, and exercise. These three factors, which you can talk about all the medications and how we're saving lives. But if we don't get these three right or improve on it, we cannot reduce our stress levels, we cannot enjoy our holidays, and we can't progress on. So please, we can go through all the different steps, and hopefully I can give you little tricks and tips about how we can manage this. So for those of you who are living on dialysis or who have family members or friends who are going through that difficult time, I want to make it clear to you, whatever we put in our mouths, however we rest at night time, how we move, these are all important in a way to manage stress. We release a hormone which increases our stress levels, and we need to find ways to manage this. And that is what we are here for today. And today, I want you to really dream and visualize in your head that you can do everything. This is not a situation where I'm going to be coming to you doing we can't. Look, there are some cases that all of us, those who are well, those who are not well, cannot do. But today, it's all about trying to optimize our health, trying to be under the circumstances. When I'm going through dialysis, I cannot do exercise. No. You can do exercise. We can do little bits of exercise, and that will improve our mood and our mindset. We can breathe better to help us sleep better. All of these factors, just keep it in your mind. And I want to build these very key pillars of health: the sleep, the nutrition, the exercise. If we build that strong, we will have the strength and confidence to be able to go traveling, because we will be stress free. And then, of course, the beautiful thing about everywhere in the world where we all live, once we get to that place, we can carry on that joy. If we want to do more exercise, we can maybe do it on a beach or on sand or in sea. So do dream, it is possible. And there are so many kind doctors, nurses, healthcare professionals, as well as colleagues like yourself on book dialysis who can then support and make that dream come true. Remember, we're not stopping life just because we've got a diagnosis. Just because I break bad news one day, I always tell the patient every way we can, we must try and do all the dreams. Make sure you can live all your dreams. If you want to see your family abroad, why not? Let's see the family abroad. If you want to go for a wedding, we must help and support that. So let's travel, let's bring up our endorphins, which are our happy chemicals, and let's find ways to do this. So the big one part, if we split it into nutrition, sleep, and exercise, I want to get the nutrition part out the way because, if anything, it's quite a heavy subject. And as you know, when it comes to dialysis, there is always the do's and don'ts, and don't take too much of that. Now, maybe your doctors will not agree on this, but I'm all about living life. We live once. We have been given this wonderful, beautiful life. We must maximize. So, if you are told, please eat lots of protein before dialysis, which is very important. So this is things like your fish, your lean meat, all of that size, which we normally say a small palmful about, always fit in protein. 100% right. But if there is a small cake while you're abroad on a nice holiday and you're with family and you feel, oh, the doctor said I shouldn't have any sugar, I give you permission. We live once, enjoy life. Please don't go mad. Please don't take the whole cake and 2 cakes and 3. But actually, in that moment when you're all together and you're a family, remember, loneliness is now becoming the big pandemic of our time now. They say if someone is lonely, it is as risk of smoking. So we want people to not be lonely. We want people to be together. And if dialysis is feeling like a blocker, we must find a way to get you abroad with your family, enjoy a lovely meal together, maybe in Greece or maybe in Italy. But of course, enjoy that protein. It's good for the body, it's good for your kidney, building up with things like eggs and meats. But of course, you enjoy life and have a little bit of joy as well in anything in terms of sweet. You'll know a lot about fluid management. I'm sure a lot of you, when we talk about dialysis, we know that whether you're having it done abroad or in the UK, you will lose water, you will lose fluid. We're flushing the body. And therefore, please maintain that fluid. If we can help you in any way to get to that place abroad in a nice, lovely Italian place near a dialysis center and the weather's beautiful, remember that heat is going to increase the amount of fluid we lose just because you wee more. Remember, we're sweating more when we're talking, when we're breathing, we're losing fluid. So please try and maintain that 1 to 1.5 liters of fluid. And it may be that your consultant or your kidney team member may adjust that accordingly. And little tricks I sometimes teach patients that can't forever keep drinking water. Well, maybe have some ice cubes or maybe have an ice lolly. You're abroad, again, you're having fun. Try and make joy in the moment. You think of times in history where people have maybe been in prison, Nelson Mandela, for example, being locked away for 27 years. He never allowed for his mindset to be broken. So he did shadow boxing, doing exercise, pretending someone's there to box, to get energy. Some people read when they are on holiday and abroad. So use your time well when you're abroad. And in those moments, if you're finding difficulty to do things like drinking fluid, of course, ice cubes are nice sucking through. And of course, there'll be a few things that people talk about, the more technical stuff. They'll talk about things like potassium and phosphorus and sodium. And again, this is more for your knowledge. I just want to keep this for you guys, to keep it at a bit of a reminder that just be mindful. I'm sure your kidney doctors would have told you about certain things that have high potassium, which is not dangerous, but you just have to be a little careful. And therefore, if you notice on this list, Dr. Lavan, I do have a few bananas. Maybe I'll try an alternative. Really good to know, because actually abroad there may be lovely opportunities for pineapples and things like this. So take advantage of that. And again, little tricks about potatoes in terms of how you chop them. I'm just putting it all there for you because it's a nice tool. And again, there's an idea, as you know, when we talk about things like diabetes and sugar, we tell everyone brown rice, brown bread, brown for everything, which is true. But interestingly, in kidneys, we have to be just a little bit mindful. And it's funny, but in the kidney side, we actually talk about having white bread over these wholemeal breads can be actually helpful. So try and create a system where it doesn't get boring, but you know where your options are. And I would say the joy I find, and a lot of the research indicates, the joy of planning and preparing for our day is sometimes more enjoyable than the actual holiday itself. So use that time to maybe Google about what type of good foods are available in the place that you'll be visiting. And maybe they'll be very kind and polite to help you. The hotel or the place you stay, you may tell them ahead of time, just wondering about the meats and the breads. Would you mind just giving an update? And it gives you that reassurance before you fly. And then finally, obviously, things about salts. We've always been told those patients with kidney related medical issues as well as dialysis, just watch out for salt. And again, I've just given you some very nice other options, things like garlic, for example, and spices. They're showing huge benefit. We are doing trials with things like turmeric and wonderful herbs from across the world in terms of helping with cancer. So really keep a list of those do's and don'ts. Again, that will give you stress-free when you head over on your lovely trip. So think of an idea where you have the protein. Remember, protein is where we build our muscle, energy sources that can be built up from things like carbohydrates. Have a little bit of a plan of what things are good so that when you go and order abroad, it's not stressful for you and you know which ones you can choose. Now, sleep. This, I have to say, is the most important thing. I'm talking about anyone. This is those patients who have family members who have dialysis or who are actually going through dialysis. The foundation of everything we do, all of our health, rests on sleep. You think about what Mother Nature or God, whatever you believe in, lots of things we've adjusted throughout our ancestral past. So the way we eat, we used to eat animals or things where we actually chew on various things. But when we chew on this meat, this is how our teeth, our mouth has always managed well. But you see now, we've got liquid drinks, we've got softer food. So that's why our jaw lining and our teeth structure is changing. You think so? Food has changed. The way we walk, remember, we never had chairs. We always used to walk and run everywhere. Now we have chairs and we're in the office. So lots of bits about exercise and movement and eating has changed over time. But the one thing that hasn't changed is sleep. Our ancestors were sleeping, those hours haven't changed and those timings haven't changed. We still need to sleep. The body still needs sleep. And this is why I tell everyone before you talk about nutrition, before you talk about kidney or any health problem, even weight loss, when patients are coming to us asking and talking about weight loss, I tell them, no point talking about that. We have to sleep first. We need that foundation pillar set. And if we sleep well, I'm sure everyone here will agree, if we sleep better, we are kinder to our children or our other half or our friends or family. If we haven't slept only 2 hours one day, 3 hours another day, of course, emotionally, we will feel not great, but it actually has long-term consequences. Not sleeping well, sadly, will have impacts in terms of dementia risk and cancer risk and kidney disease risk. So I tell everyone, if you want to live healthy, put away exercise and diet for a moment, but please, please focus on sleep. And especially when we talk more about our dialysis patients, many of you may relate to this idea of restless leg syndrome, this uncomfortable feeling in the leg, not really pain, but like an achy feeling, which sadly, because of fluctuations in vitamins and in terms of the dialysis itself, can actually have an impact. So little tricks are things like stretches, doing warm baths before bed, and sometimes avoiding a bit of caffeine, especially at nighttime, can just reduce that risk of the restless legs, which is quite common. People struggle with sleep, sometimes gasping, so just watch out for that as well. And what we tell is really the key here is what good positive habits can you have? And again, here I put the full length of it so you can have your time and read. But in general summary, some of the key factors is we believe in first light. What that means is to set your sleep cycle, we call your sleep and wake cycle. You can talk about nighttime and how you sleep and what time and who you sleep with. All of that we can talk about. But really, the key is the first thing in the morning. When we wake up, that light has to hit the back of our eye potentially. If it's dark, don't worry, it's still a rough clock time. But when we wake up, that must kickstart our day, because if we wake up on time regularly, it will help our nighttime sleep. So important to get fast light. I normally advise my patients to do a little bit of stretching. That can be very basic. That doesn't mean a big run. Even in your bed, stretching the arms, moving the fingers, moving your feet. Something so simple will just get the blood flow around. And I always drink water as well, and people can put various things in it. I send patients with dialysis, just stick to water. And when you are abroad as well, make sure it's a nice bottle of water there. So wake up, a little bit of movement, stretch, and water. That will start you on a wonderful path of the day. The chemicals and everything will start. Remember, in the daytime, a key bit is coffee. Many of us love coffee, especially when I go to Italy. I love very much enjoy and love it. I think it's important to realize that coffee is great. It's important. It can help us with focus, help us with energy. But remember, I tell a lot of my patients, try and get your coffee before 12 o'clock. The sad thing is, if we keep taking it much later and many, many coffees after, it will then impact sleep. And you may not realize, you may think, I sleep all right every night. But if I were to assess your sleep using various devices, it may tell me you're only in light sleep and we want to get you in deep sleep. And the way to do that is one, if we can cut down the coffee by about 12, 1 o'clock, I would then have things like green tea, which has health benefits, and you can take a simple green tea or a herbal tea later in the day to give you a little bit of caffeine and a tea if you enjoy it. And then, really, where does the magic come after that? Remember, nighttime. When it's nighttime, we need to start winding down. People talk about screens and looking at computers and iPads. I tell all patients absolutely 1 hour before bed, screens have to be away. If we have screens, that light we call blue light, yellow light, can actually impact our vision in the back of our eyes and keep us awake. So if you can keep it where for 1 hour before you can avoid any kind of light, that will be very helpful. The other thing that people forget, 1 hour away without light is good start, positive, but what is it you're consuming social media wise before? Is it the wars going on in Gaza or Ukraine, or is it what's going on in America? Remember, if it's something emotional, a crime drama, someone where the news is very negative, and you read that an hour before, that also has an impact. So, what I'm telling patients and colleagues is before we go to bed, that 1 hour before as well, we should be listening to very nice, peaceful music. Maybe looking at last year's pictures of the holidays, get us in a nice, positive, happy mood, and that puts us in a nice stage so that we will sleep much easier. Otherwise, your REM sleep, your dream sleep, and your slow wave sleep, we call this is our deep sleep to get muscle recovery, can sometimes be impacted. So we need to keep in a very calm, nice state. Maybe if you've had a disagreement with your children or partner, maybe a good time to fix that so that when you go to bed, all will be calm. Eating, another important point, try and eat earlier in the evening, so 6, 7 o'clock. So I try to eat with my kids around that time. The reason is if we eat late, our digestive juices are still working, and unfortunately, that will still have an impact as we try to go to bed. So if you get it a few hours before, that will help. Because remember, things like eggs, which I've encouraged you to do, those patients who are on dialysis, remember, eggs can take even up to 3 hours to completely digest. And if your juices are still working while you're sleeping, that can impact sleep. So try and do that. Black light, remember, keep everything very dark. Try to avoid any form of light because actually that will have an impact on sleep and temperature. Our ancestors who used to live in caves would have been in nice, cool, dark environments. So that's why I always remember back. You can put a duvet, maybe animal skin in those days. Obviously, we would use something different, but you'd like to be in a cool 16, 17, 18 degrees. We also have to watch out for baths and hot showers. Try and be a little bit careful not to kind of go for very hot, warm showers before bed. I know you may have read a lot about warm baths. It's very nice and calm and relaxing. Yes, it is. But that core temperature, we call that temperature rising up, can have a real impact on sleep. We need to get to a cooler level. So if you're going to have a shower, bath, or even exercise, because that can raise our temperature, try and get that done before 9, 8 o'clock. And the number, what time we should go to bed for all of us, probably about 10 o'clock. Our melatonin is at maximum. This is our sleep chemical, and also something called growth hormone, the way we actually build muscle, lose weight, stay good and strong. That gets released at 11. So by about 9, 10 o'clock, we should be winding down and in bed. And if we could really have a 7 to 8 hour sleep is what I encourage, we will reduce our risk of dementia, our cancers, and other health conditions. So try and get that sleep right. If you try and set a good standing where every day you wake up at a set time and go to bed, you will find magic. I guarantee if you get a good period of a week or two, your mood will be better, your energy levels will be better. When you attend dialysis, you'll be in a better place, and genuinely will help control some of the dialysis factors that we look out for. But remember, especially when we wake up in the morning, try and get that first light. For those people who are on dialysis, remember, please don't push yourself. When you are going through dialysis, it is a trauma on the body. We are forcing fluid balances in and out. So for that reason, look, if a small nap is required on days of dialysis, please don't beat yourself up about it. You deserve it. You've been going through a process, have that rest, and especially when you're on holiday, make the best of it. Have a nice siesta, middle of the day nap, come back refreshed and enjoy the other facilities that hopefully you'll have available. And then the second most important thing, and third I would class as nutrition is exercise. Everyone always talks about exercise. You'll see every doctor say exercise here, do this, do that. A lot of this is about, why are we doing exercise? Exercise has multiple benefits. Of course, I don't need to educate you and explain to you why it helps the heart. We all know why it would help the heart. We're pumping the heart, it's getting blood flow, the heart is getting stronger. The heart is a muscle itself, so us building it strong is always going to be helpful. But thankfully, it has wonderful other benefits, especially when it comes to cases like dialysis, where, as many of you may be on blood pressure tablets and sugar control tablets for diabetes, which all come very hand in hand. Could we find a way to help exercise support this? Absolutely. And we talk about muscle straining exercise. And muscle straining exercise is where you are literally straining your muscle more than you would do on an average day. And this is the example I give, even in dialysis. If you're sitting there and either in the other hand, you're using a stress ball to do some movement, or even not even using a stress ball and moving your fingers, or with your legs, we have some units around where they have almost mini cycles for their legs to do, or just moving your legs up and down. Even simple movements like that, you are straining muscle, you are telling the body, control sugar better, control blood pressure better. And again, back to my whole argument about what else does it release? It releases happy hormones. You will genuinely feel good and great afterwards. And you may feel, Dr. Lavan, just for a short period of time, how is that going to make an impact? Even a 30-second, a 1 minute, a 2 minute will have an impact. And in fact, we have data to say that if you do high intensity training, so when you go home, maybe on a Sunday with your family, your daughter, your son, your wife, your husband, you do maybe 10 minutes of a little bit of a high intense workout where you just push yourself slightly, a little bit of muscle moving, maybe a little movement of the hands, and that heart rate starts to move a little bit. That has a 4-day impact on your muscles and your body. So really easy, 10 minutes. I tell a lot of my patients, say, I'm so busy, I can't do this, I can't do that. Dialysis, I'm 3 times a week. Absolutely. And I sympathize. However, we must look at it in a positive light. We must say, that's 3 times a week. But what about the other days? Can you fit in 10 minutes? You do that 10 minutes, and I guarantee it will have a positive impact on your dialysis. And again, back to what we talk about here. If you're abroad, what a nice walk on the beach, nice walk into town. How lovely that you can match seeing beautiful things around the world with the support of this group here, but also the fact that you can actually improve your mood and help sugar control and blood pressure control. The other main important thing is, as we get older, our bones start to get weaker. This is in men, but sadly, especially in females as well. When females who are on dialysis go through menopause, the bones will get even softer and much more fragile. What is the number one thing you can do? Again, strengthen your muscle. You strengthen your muscle, it will strengthen your bone. So now I educate women on dialysis who are going through the menopause, try skipping, jumping up and down on the spot. Some of the staff I work in a very well-to-do area, but I also work in a very poor area, one of the lowest populations of income in the country, in the UK. And they say, Dr. Lavan, I can't afford a skipping rope. It's, £2-3 is a struggle. They struggle to get prescriptions. I say, don't worry, just jump on the spot. Pretend you have the skipping rope. You will strengthen your bones in your leg. You'll get your body pumping good blood, and it'll spread around the body. And use these little tricks, because if we strengthen bone, if we strengthen muscle, we will, of course, improve our sleep, because we will be more tired in the day. So this kind of feeling of, I feel quite awake at nighttime after dialysis, actually, you're going to be tired from dialysis, maybe done a bit of exercise the day before. So hopefully you should be sleeping nicely. And adopting these methods, you will find over time, will be magic for long-term health. And what kind of things can you do specifically? I've told you about the skipping. Like I said, in your sessions, when you're sitting in dialysis, you may enjoy reading or listening to music. And please, if that keeps you happy, please carry on with that. That massive benefit of feeling good, positive energy is always number one. But if you're feeling, I could push myself, personally, I would say, wow, great. Why don't we try and do lovely reading or listening to music, but also doing a little bit of exercise on the feet? What a triple benefit there. I've had my dialysis today. I've listened to beautiful music, and I've also done exercise. You have a 3-in-1. You can feel great about yourself. And the fourth best would be, you are then looking at a lovely view somewhere around the world, thanks to all of this work that you've done. And you can see a beautiful thing outside as well. That for me is like a dream. And this is what I come back to. We can really make the best of everything, despite some of the obstructions that we may, or some of the bumps that we may have in life. And look, you don't have to be a physiotherapist. You don't have to be an orthopedic, a bone doctor to explain what kind of things you can do. Use your imagination. I always find in the morning, some of the things I drink with water, I'll try a bit of turmeric, I'll try a bit of this. I investigate and explore. Similarly with this, it's stretching. So I don't know the best, but maybe stretching, moving neck movements, moving around, moving your chin to the side, even hands, keeping the hands high up for a moment. Make it fun, make it enjoyable. Maybe if you've got children with you, maybe do it together. This is all kind of group bonding and learning together. And you can do clever things. There is this talk about heel to toe, which sometimes do with the kids where they walk with their foot right in front of the other. It makes it fun with the children. Whatever you feel where you are moving that body, and if you can do it a little bit of a quicker pace where the heart is pumping, it will do magic. It is the best medication you have. Better than all the other medication you take, it will be positive. And where do you fit it in? So don't worry too much about the bottom right. And this is about a little structure I wanted to give you so that if you are feeling a little bit, look, in the new year, in January, Dr. Lavan, I want a bit of a schedule or a plan. Please, you're welcome to use this schedule. But really, it's about building routine. And I stress, please don't ever feel pressurized. There are many times where I call it falling off the horse. You do everything wonderfully. I eat well for the week or two or three, sleeping well, feeling on top of myself. And then look, a bit of pressure comes. You then have a bit of a rubbish meal. You then sleep badly. Work is a bit funny and can be a bit. Don't worry. Please love yourself. Please care about yourself. Be kind to yourself. Literally take that moment, take that minute, take that day, take that week off. Go to town, have not so nice, burger or a bit of Coke or, we are here in the moment. We are very fortunate to be living. Enjoy that moment, fall off the horse a little bit, but then say to yourself, but I remember next Monday or maybe a week afterwards when the stress is off, I'm going to wake up again and get back to scheduling. I'm going to book in the gym. I'm going to do, and that way is lovely. And so I always have, sometimes I fall off the horse by Thursday and I think, oh, I want to get back by Friday. And I say, no, don't worry. I'm going to enjoy the rest of the weekend. I'll have sweets with my kids. We'll go and play in the park and then get back to it. So please be kind to yourself and please to form habits for the long term. People say, January 1st, I'm going to stop this, stop that, stop this, be kinder. And they put this list, and by week number 2, it's all finished. That is the wrong way. Please, if anything, from January 1st or even earlier, one small habit. Maybe you say, I'm going to do 5 minutes of exercise every day. That's it. Don't please push yourself too much. And you may say, Dr. Lavan, I can do more than that. No, you have to build routines. So start with the 5 minutes. If you do well after a week or 2 or 3 or 4 weeks, revisit. How did I do? Yep, I hit it every day. Well done. You're now on to 10 minutes. And build like that, because what that means is when, unfortunately, there is a time of pressure, some blood tests come back and you're a bit unhappy about it, or the holiday doesn't work out, our stress level rises and then we fall off that horse. At least we've got a bit of a setup. Our 5 minute, our 10 minute that we did holds us. We won't go back to zero. Whereas if we're over the top here and we've rushed it, the foundation is so poor, it all collapses beneath us. And by July, you're back to the same start again and we're working up. So please take your time, be kind and be responsible of how much you do. Try and fit exercise around convenience, so around the timing. I do little things for females, I think is very important, but for men as well. We talk about pelvic floor exercises. I don't know if you know about this, but this is our pelvic floor that females, sometimes when they give birth, but also bladder control can be impacted as we get older. And you can lose sometimes bladder function. So I always say, even for men, bladder exercises, this is where you almost hold as if you're going to the bathroom, but hold yourself, release, hold, release. It looks very funny. So please don't do it in front of people in a meeting because they'll think you're very odd. But it is worth doing. I sometimes doing at traffic lights when I drive. I say, when it's red, okay, love, and remember to do it. And it's very important. These are muscles that people don't talk about, and you don't want to be in a situation later. So find joy in everything you do. Now, I used to tell the kids off about, you're not cleaning the house. I do it now. Maybe that'll teach them to be lazy, but it gives you a bit of exercise. I run around, do it quickly. I run on the spot. And remember, you can inspire. My kids then see that and do the same in a funny way. So now all of a sudden they're cleaning. and they're doing it in a fun way. So remember, as you're in a family, if one of your family members is on dialysis, please don't overdo it and do too much sport. But whatever that member of family is doing in dialysis, look, I can do this. Why don't you all do it together and then slowly fit it around at a time where maybe, before dinner or after dinner, you want to do it as a group, maybe at Christmas time when we're all having Christmas turkey and enjoying, rather than just eat more dessert and then sit on the sofa. Why don't we all do a little bit of exercise together? You do it in a group and it can be well. And of course, when you do these exercises, just be mindful that water is so important. You just got to keep that fluid level up, because remember, when it comes to dialysis, and especially when we're abroad in a very hot country, it can really fluctuate. So all I say there is make sure you have your bottle ready to just top up whenever you can. Please don't over stress yourself, though. I say very, very small amounts of exercise. And look, everybody, we sympathize. Some of us who probably, at this stage, quite fortunate, I have, all my family members having cancer, and we deal with that side, and some people with kidney disease. And we have so much difficulties that we have to support our friends and family about. But, we sympathize, we empathize with those people going through these difficult times. So please don't ever feel like you have to be the hero and look, I need to get on with this. I'm the main person. I'm going through dialysis, but I can't. Again, be kind to yourself. This is a difficult time for you, but definitely you can see the light with it. There are so many wonderful things we can add on pieces to make it a more stable and calmer experience. But do reach out for help. There are so many opportunities now, whether it's online, whether it's private, whether it's with a health service locally, and do mention it to someone, because there may be small things that they tell you that could just lift your mood. There are some wonderful human beings for free, for charity, that will sit and listen and talk and give you practical advice. So when you are feeling this emotional well-being and you think, God, I got my holiday booked, this lovely cruise that I'm going on, but actually on the other end, I'm stressed about this, speak to someone. And of course, use these wonderful people at Book Dialysis to help aid and support in terms of reaching out. And when things do get a little bit overwhelming, exercise techniques that I use, breathing exercises, they are research scientifically driven. These are universities like Stanford in America who have done breathing exercise and seen the benefit and the change in the brain structure. So I tell those of you not only going through dialysis, but the family members looking after, because remember, we care about you. We need to look after you as well. There's no point you killing yourself, rushing around for that family member, because they need you. You need to be healthy. So those times that can get quite stressful, please use very simple techniques. Some of the important ones, research-driven ones, I talk about box breathing. This is the idea of breathing in, inhaling for 4 seconds, holding your breath for 4 seconds, breathing out for 4 seconds, so expiration, holding your breath at the end of that, and again we go. 4. And that's called a box breathing. Wonderful technique, works very well. It helps slow down our heart rate. It's something called our vagal stimulation. We stop our fight or flight response. That works very well. The other one that works very, very well is exhaling longer. So breathe in for a few seconds, hold the breath, but then breathe out for longer, 7, 8 seconds, slowly. And please try it one day. You will see a magical difference with it if you keep using it. And if it becomes your good technique, you soon start associating your brain at stressful times and angry times. We must admit, we all get frustrated at different times. It's a very useful thing to bring you down from anger level down when things are getting quite stressful. But of course, meditation and the exercises can be massively helpful. And social connection. We have lost so much connection with this Instagram world, Facebook world, when we're all kind of communicating through these methods. COVID, as you know, how difficult it was for many of us. All of these has impacted our fabric of our society. It's just not the same. However, we can adapt to it. Could you then utilize that? Groups, dialysis groups on Facebook, communicating together, supporting each other. Oh, we learnt about this. This was a good trick I learned. You can all group, decide, and help each other. So try and utilize social media, and rather than for the negative, use it as a positive experience. And then, of course, the hobbies. Can you do it together? Can you do it abroad? Can you do it with like-minded people? Keep your hobbies and joy. I love medicine, but my biggest passion is history. I would have been a history teacher if I didn't do medicine. I still read lots of history when I go abroad. I have a tick list of all the historical sites I need to see in Europe before I leave. And I will not leave until it's done, even if I have to pay extra to stay. So simple things like that. Try joy, because I was in Kuwait last week speaking to doctors who are all leaving the profession, and they asked me to speak to them, to inspire them to why to stay. And I tell them, your passion, your joy, yes, can be medicine, and in maybe in dialysis, maybe you have a job or a role, but find other passion projects for you. Maybe reading about something that enjoys, maybe do a project with your niece. Try and find joy, because again, I keep stressing, we have one life. After this life, there is anything else. So in this time we have, when we have so many facilities, so many clubs we can join, you can learn any language on the planet through, devices like Lingo and various things. What a wonderful thing, or Duolingo, sorry, where you can just push a button and I want to learn Italian. And the pace and how you do it is so wonderful now. So please use Advantage, because you may think you're just fitting one thing, but the joy you have in that will have an impact in multiple places. It will have an impact on your family. It will have an impact on your mood. That mood will then make you feel you want to do more exercise. You then do more exercise. That exercise will make you feel happy. You will then sleep better. And you see now how they're all slightly connected to each other. So very important. Stress, it is our biggest burden at the moment. People talk about heart attack, stroke, kidney disease. I tell everyone to stop. Before you talk about that, get your stress under control. And like I said, number one point, foundation, sleep. Sleep better, your stress will be better, and you're already getting to a good stage. So I have to be honest, I also believe this. Many of my patients 5, 6 years ago, when they would come and see me, they would say, "Oh, doctor, I can't travel." And I wouldn't really say much more. I didn't know of wonderful places like Book Dialysis, where they spend the time and effort and care to help support people. I didn't know people like this existed, which is why it's so exciting to communicate, bond, create collaboration with groups like this, because we grow together and we learn from each other. It's not a competition with various things. Everyone has a part to play. And that's why now it's so lovely that I can feel that I can offer this to patients. I have one patient that was only going to the UK all the time because of the dialysis issue. But already I've recommended and I've said, please check these guys out, because you never know, actually, through their help and support, we can get you to the next stage, maybe over to France or maybe to the south of France or Spain. And I think that will be a true joy to that patient. And what a joy as a doctor for me. Yes, I am paid as a doctor, but actually the true love and true happiness I get is if I could be one small piece of that puzzle with the support of Book Dialysis to get them over to the south of France, and they then send me an email picture of them sitting on a beach. We've won. What more in life can you offer a fellow human? So I think with this, use these opportunities and look, let's try it. If you feel, no, there's no way it can happen, let's at least have the conversation. If at the end of it, it's very, very much of a push, look, maybe we call it. But I think nowadays with the technology, look, it may be a little bit more money here to get the flight sponsor here. It may be the doctor impact there. We may need to play the puzzle a bit. But I think what a wonderful position to be in at this time in the world, where we can offer support to get over there. So my last bit, just on practical tools, and this again, very, very basic things. And please don't feel like being offensive and saying you don't already know this. I'm sure you guys know this better than even I do. But it was actually nice on researching this for me to remind myself, what we take for granted as generally people who don't have to worry about dialysis. And again, I practice a lot of gratitude. Every morning when I wake up, I write a journal and say, I'm grateful for warm water, I'm grateful for my warm home, I'm grateful for a healthy family. And I do it in various things that are happy for me. And I look 3 things I look forward to. Today's one, doing a talk in collaboration with Book Dialysis was one of my things of what I'm looking forward to. And I will reflect on that in the evening. People laugh about it and say, Lavan, Dr. Lavan, is there research behind it? Is it? Absolutely. Gratitude changes the structure of the brain. We must feel grateful for things. And I'm in a very privileged position that sadly, a lot of my kids, when they come through, I may have an 8-year-old cancer, I may have a 40-year-old going through divorce, and I hear everybody's stories. And I sympathize with them. I will cry with them if they have difficult times. But I walk away thinking, God, I'm so grateful. I'm so lucky to have this. And that experiencing gratitude can be very powerful. So please, when you do travel, when you do things, look at your colleague next to you, look at the other person traveling, the one in the wheelchair, the elderly one, and think for a moment, despite the difficulties I have, I'm going to practice gratitude. I'm very grateful and happy for what I am. I'm going on my journey now, on my trip. We could argue many people in the world cannot travel, but at least, with the support, we can actually travel. So use gratitude. It's a very powerful tool. And if you train your brain well enough that every day you're practicing gratitude, you will then can't ever feel sad, because you're always quickly move to that remote control part of your brain that says, but I'm grateful. I have a warm home. So the next time when I'm very cold and I'm complaining and it's raining, I quickly switch to, but I have a warm home. I'm going to. Great. And it gets you back into good place. So 6 to 8 weeks before travel, a couple of months before, as I'm sure you'll know, getting a copy of your blood tests and information. This is your data, everybody. You know, what you have blood test wise is actually your information. So please use that time, get your blood test results, get your vaccinations up to date. And it's worth doing a couple of months before, because I know even in the NHS, sometimes it can be a struggle and a stress to get this done quickly. So please use the time a couple of months before. At the destination, please use the facilities from Book Dialysis, ask for their help, see what they can do to support, maybe even signposting, telling you what to do, but otherwise along with you on the journey, where they can provide all the bits on the other end of it. You know, what kind of confirmations do we need, so that literally you've got everything printed out, which I still believe in carrying paper copies. Right, when I land here, this is sorted out. When I go here, this is sorted out. And of course, travel assurance, which I'm sure you'll be aware of, and make sure your doctor is aware about it, because there may be other things that they may be able to help with. When you get closer to the time, especially with medications, I know we have this issue in the UK. We can't just sadly give 3, 6, 9 months medication out in advance. So maybe that 2 to 4 weeks, very organized appointment booked in, or a message to a staff member in your practices: can I have my 2 to 4 weeks to 6 weeks medication? Know which medications you can take on hand luggage and in general. And of course, have all those paperwork ready. Make sure we're not missing anything, because just in case something funny goes off, we want to be covered. Travel insurance should be ready, contact number for them. So the worst thing, dialysis goes off a little bit. It's not as ideal as we'd like on that second dialysis. Great, straight away you can contact and move. And finally, the practical bits just around kind of emergency numbers while you're there. It's one thing having your number that the country you're part of, whether that's Italy, Greece, for in terms of travel insurance and support. But what about the country you're actually going to? Say you go to Morocco. Do you know where the nearest facilities or the help and things can be there for you? So medications you've booked, you've got all your right, cleaning materials for your hands. Snacks are very important. I know for kids, we may be used to that, but obviously with dialysis, it's very important, and about fluid limits and not to push it. Make sure visas are in place. If you are in a wheelchair and you do have dialysis, make sure the support is there. Sadly, as much as I like to come right on time, we do have to come early. We never can predict what's going on with weather. We can never predict what the flight is saying. So do make the effort, even if it is waiting around. Remember, now that you've got the tricks about exercises, just sit, relax. I know when we go early to the flight, I just walk around. I put my steps monitor on and I walk around the airport. I feel great, because then when we go in for check-in, I've done all my steps for the day and I feel happy that I've hit a target. You've already got idea of your destination, and sometimes what we say is, when you get to that destination, really familiarize yourself. So if it is where you found a place in Spain, dancers say, you're going tomorrow, well, why don't you go the day before? Do that nice walk again, maybe up a hill, get a bit of exercise in and ready for a nice sleep before your dialysis. Go and visit, say hi to the people. Lovely staff may be there that you may say, oh, that's good, formed a relationship, so that the next day wake up and you're fresh and ready to go. And then that first experience of dialysis is going to be great, positive, so that next time you go, it's going to be very comfortable. Communication, taps, and dietary things, like I said, do that all before if you can. Get that information before, so it's not a stress. So finally, your life is full of possibilities, and dialysis doesn't have to hold you back. With the right knowledge and support, you can continue to explore, connect with loved ones, and live a life that brings you joy. Remember, you're not just surviving dialysis, you're thriving. Your adventure awaits. So I want you to take any information, any lines that you learned, and this is for people on dialysis or not on dialysis. Please remember this quote. We'll be running back to you. And for summary, remember, the foundation of our health is sleep. You need to prioritize sleep. That's with or without dialysis. You need to be present for your young kids. You need to be present for your family. You need to be strong. And if you don't have good, solid sleep, unfortunately, that foundation, it is crucially important. Once we have that foundation, we can now play on all our magic. We can then improve our exercise tone. We can improve our strength, which will improve our bones. It will control our sugar control. It will control our blood pressure. A wonderful tool, better than medication, that builds on your sleep. And of course, nutrition. How do we give the energy to do that exercise? We will get very tired. Good fluid intake. The fluid flushes the kidney. The fluid cleans the body. Very important to take that water, but then introduce your various meals. Good, strong protein, the building block of muscles. Treat yourself, enjoy life, get that dopamine hit, get that enjoyment, but of course be sensible. watch out for certain fruits and vegetables that could be do's and don'ts, and create a plan that is stress-free, and spices and things that you can add to support your meals so you thoroughly enjoy your meals, because it's an experience. You're experiencing things together. And as a result, if you have the sleep structure in place, if you have your exercise and you have your nutrition supporting, our stress levels, the biggest problem I always worry about now, just with all the external stresses we have, and of course the micro stresses we talk about. This is the things we see on our social media that give us a little bit of a trigger in the wrong direction. We need to control that micro stresses, control that stress level. And the best way you can do that is following that simple step of sleep, nutrition, exercise. And remember to keep this as a nice, well controlled, habit forming little by little, so that you build the building blocks, so that when you do start planning your holiday away, abroad, and hopefully use the kind facilities and support of book dialysis, they can then help you get to a position where you can be sitting on a nice beach somewhere, looking at a nice mountain, looking and eating at a nice restaurant, and you can think, gosh, a year or two before I could have never dreamt of being here, but because of my good willingness and because of my hope and the strength that you've developed through these very simple techniques of breathing well and sleeping well and eating well, I'm now in a wonderful place where I'm enjoying life with my family, and therefore I can live long and have a very strong quality of life. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening.